What's up, guys? We're back with another Masters of the Universe Revelation Masterverse review, taking a look at the next big figure. We've, of course, got Skeletor on deck. We've already taken a look at Skelegod, whatever he happens to be, by the time we get to the show. But, of course, we've got old Boneface himself in Wave 1, alongside He-Man, because could you really do anything otherwise? Imagine the rioting that would occur if Skeletor was not alongside He-Man. Just like He-Man, he comes in that same style box that we saw. So with this standard package for the standard figures, you've got the figure there in the window, you've got the Revelation call out, the Masterverse call out, and then you've got that sort of blue and black color scheme with those Eternian hieroglyphic type etchings all over it. You've got a really evil shot of Skeletor that runs along the side panel, and then an even more evil shot of him with Snake Mountain in the background on the back, along with his new bio, as well as our Wave 1 cross cell. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Revelation Masterverse Skeletor. This is another figure like He-Man that I was kind of unsure about going into some of the original promo pictures, because the same thing I have an issue with He-Man kind of exists here, but having him in hand, I don't really think it's an issue. The head was a big problem for me. I thought it looked small. Now that I have him in hand, I'm not so sure that's an issue, and frankly, I am absolutely loving this figure. I'm loving playing around with this guy. He is very, very much the same kind of thing you would expect from a Skeletor figure. He is a lot of parts reused from He-Man, not all, but a lot, and that means they basically move the exact same way for all intents and purposes. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. You've got a head that can look up slightly, same way as He-Man. He's probably a little bit more restricted because of the hood. He can look down. You do have a little bit of tilt, not a lot, a little bit of tilt, and then you've got rotation, arms out at the shoulder. They, of course, rotate, but you've got the fringes of his armor to deal with. You've got your bicep swivel. We've got our double-jointed elbows, really good range, pinless, again, just like He-Man. You've got your hinges and rotation at the wrist. We've got our diaphragm cut here, so he goes backwards, forwards a little bit. Tilt side to side really good, and then it's also a rotating point. It's not meant to be like a full swivel, but it's a rotation point. Then you've got your waist twist. Legs go out. You can do the Snake Mountain splits, basically. They go forward. They go backward. You've got your thigh twist there. And then you've got double jointed knees, pretty much all the way back. There is a nicely hidden boot cut with the sort of shin guards that he has. And then you do have hinge, which is really, really good. Backward, forward. And then you've got some rocker as well. The armor piece does kind of get in the way a little bit, but not too much. I mean, you can sort of kick it up over top of it would be the best way to sort of get around it, I think. So he's basically on par with He-Man. They are very, very well equipped to take each other on. There's really no difference when it comes to moving them around. And you should have, again, just like with He-Man, really no issues getting this guy into some nice dynamic poses without really any issue. Now, aesthetically, I'm really happy with this guy. Pretty much point blank, I think he is just one of the better figures in this wave, and he is an instance where he suffers from the same issues as He-Man, but I don't think they are a problem because of his design, if that makes sense. So He-Man suffers because he's just a man, he's just a guy. Skeletor gets a different color scheme. Skeletor has a hood, Skeletor has a skull face. So the slight smallness of the head, I think, is a little bit masked by the hood, and the texture that is all over this torso that they share, along with sort of the different finish, I don't think is as big of an issue on Skeletor just because of the color scheme. I think it maybe absorbs light a little bit better. It is still a glossier finish for some reason. I would love to know why the torso looks this way compared. I mean, it's likely a difference in plastic, I would assume. I'm not really sure. But the texture thing is still kind of a head scratcher. I don't really understand why it has to have that. It certainly doesn't make him look any better to me, but I think some of that is a little bit lost because he's blue. It's not as easy to notice, maybe. I do think that we're seeing a lot of, well, at least I see it, a lot of Mike Young Productions 2000X style Skeletor here. I can't not see that when I look at this particular figure, and that's not a negative. That's a really good thing. I love the cape. It's maybe not the best soft goods out there. It's just sort of a piece of drapery that hangs over him. Nothing really exciting towards the bottom, but it does sit on him really nicely. It wraps all the way around the neck. You can take the armor off, and you know, you've got this underneath there. But I think it looks really good, and it's again one of those nods to a later Skeletor. And I think just overall, this is a very Skeletor looking figure. I know that sounds stupid to say, but this is Skeletor. I mean, this sort of periwinkle blue, all of the purple and black armor. The one thing that maybe is kind of a nuisance on this figure is that the armor is two different pieces. So you've got sort of the harness that's its own piece, and then you've got the collar, which is separate. So you've got to kind of watch it might get out of alignment like that, which is, you know, you can pop it right back, but it is just sort of a, I don't know, a nuisance, an annoyance. I do think the colors look really good. The blacks, the purples, they all pop. He's definitely got the monster feet with some gnarly toenails on there. And it's just a very classic Skeletor, while also, you know, kind of at the same time incorporating what I think are some of the, you know, early 2000s style design, the head sculpt, the cape, and so forth. And the head, I think once you have him in hand, you'll probably enjoy a lot better than some of the original promo pics, and certainly a lot better than the leaks we saw. The hood is really nicely done. It's got this sort of nice piece that hangs over the front. It's got a lot of texture on it, and just the head sculpt looks really evil and super maniacal. It almost looks, you know, like it's actual bone color. It's certainly not stark white, so it's got some dinginess and some browns, maybe a little off-white color in there, and then those teeth are super white by comparison with those sunken eye sockets in there. And it's just it's a different, more maniacal, more evil, and definitely, you know, maybe a more fed-up Skeletor that is ready to finally seize power. But there's a lot of classic hallmarks here with, like, you know, the monster arms, the monster feet, things of that nature that very much take you back to a classic Skeletor, while also having just this very different and new and fresh style and take on him that I think works exceptionally well here. And then, of course, we've got to do some size comparisons. So we've got our Origins Skeletor here on the left, just for an idea of what a vintage-ish style figure looks like. And then, of course, the irreplaceable classic Skeletor here on his right. And you can see that these two are pretty well stacked up, but they are still very different style of figures. This is a much broader chested, broader shoulder Skeletor. This is a leaner, more leggy, just like He-Man, because of course a lot of shared parts there. And he is taller. He might not necessarily look as tall, but he's certainly taller than this figure when it comes to overall construction and build. I think some of the armor just sort of obscures it a little bit. And then, of course, you know, we'll kind of do a few other lines as well. So let's move Origins aside. And here's a NECA foot soldier, if you want to give your new Skeletor a bunch of purple goons. And then here is, for something, well, very different by comparison, here is the SH Figuarts Goku, to give you an idea of what a smaller scale figure, because of course Goku is normal-ish, but also skews on the small side. Here is a Plunderling, for something even smaller. And then let's go Hasbro, because you always have to. Here is the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. So you can see that, I mean, Skeletor does have a lot of size on him. He's a very big figure. He's basically the exact same size as He-Man. Mostly, he's a little bit shorter, but overall, he is a very, very large figure. A much different scale and style of figure than we're used to seeing, even after so many years of classics. Now, as far as accessories goes, I think Skeletor is pretty well stacked, and honestly, I'm really happy with the selection here. There's one kind of oddball accessory that, while we don't know what it's for yet, potentially, I think it's kind of cool that it's here. But of course, we have to start with the main accessory for any Skeletor, really, and that, of course, is his Havoc staff. And I have got to say, I absolutely love this. I think this staff looks fantastic. The color scheme, all of its very muted purple colors, the wash on the ram's skull itself. But this thing just has a gnarly design. I think it looks great. He has one gripping hand that is truly meant to hold it. I wish it was his right hand and not his left, and that's just personal preference, really. But we've got a pretty cool design on it. I mean, it's obviously a little bit different. It's really big. It's as tall as the figure itself. Well, taller, really. And you've got this kind of updated, new ram's head on there, which I think looks fantastic. Sculpt is really good, and it's super evil and menacing, which obviously fits old Boneface here. He does not come with a power sword, which of course, you know, as far as the cartoon goes, that fits, so that's not a big deal. We've got some extra hands, so he comes with a fist for his right and a gripping hand for his left. In the box, if I could show them. And then we've got two more as well. So you've got this sort of crooked finger while also being a gripping hand right hand. So this will hold the staff. It's just kind of different. It's not the most ideal situation, but it works. And then you've also got, similar to what He-Man sort of comes with in some respects, with his sort of flat palm hand, you've got this sort of, it's kind of a flat palm slash gripping hand because it's wider than He-Man's hand. Obviously it's a different sculpt too, but similar in approach. And then the last thing that he comes with is kind of the oddball accessory. We get a different staff. And this is the shaping staff, which is seen in one particular episode. I think it's just one, in the Filmation cartoon. I believe this has been shown in some product stills. It might be in one of, or some television animation stills, rather. And I think it might make an appearance in the trailers. I'm not really sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is an interesting one. I'm curious what this means for Skeletor, how it's going to be used, because it's a very powerful Eternian artifact. It's also something that will go really well with Evil Lyn also. So we've got two, I mean, really solid accessories, especially from like a lore perspective. Both of these are up there. And then he's got some extra hands as well. So I'm really happy with everything he comes with. The only thing I think he could potentially be missing is maybe an energy effect. I would love to have something for Skeletor. Just have an energy effect for some magic powers or something blasting off the Havoc staff. But otherwise, very happy with everything in here. So overall, this is a really solid figure. I do think that Skeletor has the same issues that He-Man has, the texture on the chest, the slightly small head sculpt, but overall, I think that his design and his colors kind of obscure all of that, so it's not nearly as noticeable, at least not to me. I don't find them to be as much of a problem here. Overall, very happy with this figure though. The only thing I would change is to give him a better quality wired cape, and that might be something I pursue myself. But otherwise, right out of the box, this is easily the best or maybe the second best figure in this wave. He comes with solid accessories. I love the new Havoc staff. I'm really curious what's going on with the shaping staff. And overall, it's just a very classic but modern Skeletor that very much mirrors a lot of animation that we've seen over the years. I like a lot of the MYP 2000X influence here. It's definitely there, however small, but I'm really happy with this figure overall. So that's going to do it for this look at the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelation Skeletor. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.